Interestingly, United States ex-Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was one of the keynote speakers at the News18 Rising Bharat Summit. He also spoke on issues like Chinese transgression, even its President Xi Jinping and the CCP's intervention in the changing geopolitical climate, even Chinese aggression in the South China Sea, US presidential election and the Israel-Hamas war were also topics of discussion. Listen in.
I want to talk a little bit about China in the context of India, particularly because of the changed situation in the last 3 years since the Galwan incident at the border happened in 2020. There is a perception, there is a school of thought here in India which says the Chinese are poking and testing, and the more India is moving in the American orbit or becomes closer to America strategically, then it just incentivizes them to try and do that more, to be more militarily adventurous. What would you say to that?
If you choose to adopt the model of appeasement, you'll have more Chinese aggression. What does Xi Jinping respect? Does he respect someone who shows up and pays a tithe, an offering, bends the knee? Or does he respect someone who stands up and says, no, I'm the leader of Latvia. I'm the leader of Bangladesh. I'm the leader of America or India. And I'm going to damn well do the things I need to do to make sure that my people are served well. That's the place with which you can have conversations with Chinese leadership. You can't have relations with the Chinese leadership when you tell the Chinese leadership, no, it turns out we just want to talk more. And yeah, we're happy to let you run vessels into the Philippines. We're happy to let you make cockamamie statements about the South China Sea. I mean, just ludicrous statements about the South China Sea. More ludicrous than thinking that NATO was going to invade Russia. Right? These are propaganda campaigns intended to do what Chinese Communist Party intends. This isn't about military power. Military power matters. You must have it. This is a check the block, have to have it. India must have it. We must have it. The West must have it. But this is about, this is a larger hegemonic play by Chinese Communist Party. This is about corrupting trading systems, make sure that the currencies that are used are no longer the traditional currencies, to make sure that energy flows work the way that every international organization is run by the Chinese Communist Party. Let's all just deal in reality, not fantasy. This would be my first ask in dealing with China. Observe what they do, not what they tell you in the China Daily Times or the China Global News. Observe what they do. They are the most polluting nation in the world. They have no capacity to generate enough energy for themselves.
If you're Xi Jinping and you're looking at these wars and you're saying, you know, America, the most preeminent power in the world, is not able to get the outcomes in this war. It's not able to help Ukraine in a way that Ukraine can win this war. It's not able to stop Israel from, causing all these mass civilian casualties. What then stops Xi Jinping from saying, okay, let me try and see if I can take Taiwan back?
Good partners and friends and American leadership. That's what's failed. I spoke about this already. This is the deterrence that failed. I agree. Xi Jinping observes that not just America, don't put this just on America. It's not fair. It's also dangerous, more importantly than not being fair. All of us have a responsibility to say, no, we have to go win these things. The world needs to perceive. Everybody loves, right? The Middle Eastern idea is the idea of the strong horse. Everybody follows the strong horse. We need to be that. We, collectively, need to be the strong horse. We're totally capable of doing this. This isn't, everybody has angst, like this is hard. We know precisely how to do this. I think in the 4 years we were there, we demonstrated that. Not perfectly. We could have done more in Hong Kong. I don't know that we could have stopped the collapse of Hong Kong as we knew it. But we could have done better. We could have done more. I'm entirely self-critical as well.
What could India expect from a second Trump administration in terms of economic policy? I mean, there were friction points in the first Trump administration.
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember them vividly.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. No, there's always going to be trade friction between the United States and India. You write it down. It's natural that nations want to protect things that are theirs, including we want to do the same thing. So that piece is untroubling. You know, I think the best way, we are talking about something that may or may not happen. The best way to think about what a second Trump administration would look like is to go back to the facts and data about the first one. By the time you get to be my age, right, things don't change. Your worldviews are pretty set. And so when I think about the work that we did alongside India in the national security space, in the economic space, on the global stage as well, I suspect that the second Trump administration would adopt a set of policies that aren't dissimilar from that. That includes, if you read a book by a fellow named Robert Lighthizer, talks about tariffs and their economic benefit to the United States of America. I have a somewhat different view of that, but it is something that President Trump used in his first term, and I have every expectation he will continue to use that tool in his second term as well. Maybe different, it'll certainly be different for different countries, but the idea of developing a deepening bilateral trade relationship with India was something that was central to our effort for our 4 years. I suspect if President Trump were to be reelected, that would continue to be the case.
Trump's second term may be viewed favorably here in India from New Delhi's point of view, but how may it be viewed from Beijing, from Riyadh, from Tel Aviv, from Kiev, and of course from Moscow?
Oh my goodness. They gave me half a dozen. They would be very different answers. Where do you want me to start?
No, will the world be worried, especially given what we saw in the first 4 years of Trump? Should the world be worried how his presidency, if at all there is a second term, his presidency may shape these relationships?
Yeah. No, the world should be thrilled. I mean, how many wars started for those 4 years? Anybody got an idea? 0. Yeah, 0. We now have a major conflagration in Europe, continuing now 2 years on. We have the most horrific act that I have seen in my adult lifetime. What Hamas did, what the Iranian leadership did to those women on October 7th in the southern part of the Negev desert is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've seen, as CI director, I've seen an awful lot. This didn't happen under President Trump's watch.
Obviously the world he would inherit if he were to become president again is a very different world from when he demitted office.
That's what I was just talking about.
How would he, because the onus is going to be on how he's going to end these two wars.
Here's what I can say with certainty. Vladimir Putin had a fundamentally different perception of America when President Trump was in office. He just did. You can argue about why. Mean tweets. You just describe it however you choose to describe it. But the reality was that the missiles that saved Kyiv, the very Javelin missiles that were fired that saved Kyiv the night that they almost lost it, does anybody in this room know who provided those missiles to the Ukrainian people? Which president? It wasn't President Obama. He refused to do it. Had President Obama or his successor been elected in 2016, there would have been no Ukrainian defense that night from Javelin missiles. President Trump allowed those missiles to be delivered, saving Ukraine, giving them the very opportunity that they face today. I would tell you that in the Middle East, the Iranians understood that we were serious about defending things. We were serious about being partners with the Gulf states, the Emiratis, the Omanis, certainly the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. We were serious about supporting these partners in a way that allowed them to move towards a different model in the Middle East. We want a good thing for the people that live in Judea and Samaria, that live in the West Bank. We wanted good things for them too. But we weren't about to let the terrorists that are under the thumbprint of Iran, whether it's Hezbollah or the Palestinian Authority or Hamas or the Houthis in Yemen, we weren't about to let them upset the opportunity for prosperity in the Middle East and for America, because it was about America first. We wanted to make sure our young men and women didn't have to go fight and risk their lives in those places as well, as they had done so many times over the last 25 years. I'm a former soldier. My mission set at the State Department was to deliver a model in the Middle East which no one ever asked for the 82nd Airborne or a Marine Brigade. And we had built that. And so I would suggest to you that were President Trump to get another chance, he would begin to rebuild that model. And this is how, in the end, these conflicts will end. The only way you convince evil, bad guys, to stop is power. You have to deter them. And the United States and the world, not just the United States, Europe, Middle Eastern countries, lost deterrence. And this is now what has to be returned. And I'm confident that it can be done.